Hi there, welcome to iTWireTV. Today we're privileged to speak with Jason Magee, CEO of ConnectWise, and Jason's currently visiting us here in Australia all the way from Florida. So thank you, Jason, for making time for us in your schedule today.
Thank you, David. Thank you for having myself. I greatly appreciate it.
Awesome. Can you tell us a bit about ConnectWise, the history of the company, and any insight you can give us?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to know the history, I could go on all day about the history, but keeping it at the highest of levels, right? ConnectWise, well over 30 years running now. 22 years as, everyone knows the company today. And the company did start out as, call it an early version of managed service provider, in the 90s and so on is what kind of spawned ConnectWise and what we are today. But the history goes that the founders of ConnectWise, as they were running their managed service provider business, they had chaos in their business, right? Think of the 90s and where we were in terms of digital transformation, right? It was early stages. Think about running a small business IT firm and trying to figure out where your techs were deployed, how you're tracking their hours, how you're doing project work, how you're servicing your customer and staying in constant communication with them and so on. So these were realities, right? Envision, the founders in a room and seeing on, piece of paper or a chalkboard or a whiteboard and, their techs are deployed in these areas and here's their customers and where their customer lists are and so on. And, how much a customer owes them and how much time was spent with them, whether it's time and material, whether it's product sales or whatnot. It was a lot of chaos for them. They were burning the midnight hour. They were working very early, working in late into the night. They were impacted lifestyle wise, right? Reduced time with their family as their business continued to grow and scale and so on. So the founders said there has to be a better way. And as they were thinking through that, that's what really materialized into what we know ConnectWise managed today, the PSA system. And that's how we really got started out. And then really trying to solve for the silos of chaos of a technology solution provider or managed service provider. And then as time progressed, right? So that system became pretty mature in terms of servicing your customer, back office stuff and whatnot. And then how do you continue to increase productivity and drive efficiency in your business and become more profitable? Well, then, the RMM, hit mainstream in, early 2000s, late 2000s. And I think it's about 2010, the founders said, hey, we got to bring this stuff together. And they went out and sought after a, startup out of Toledo, Ohio called LabTech. And they went into joint venture with the founders of LabTech. And now that's what's considered ConnectWise Automate today. And then bringing those two platforms together to drive, increased productivity and efficiencies, therefore making MSPs, TSPs more productive and profitable along the way. And I could keep going on, right? IT Nation was born and how you grow your business and be better business leaders and owners and be more profitable and so on. But it's a pretty long and storied, history. And, I'm proud to be the second CEO of the company, succeeding the founder, Arnie Bellini, and continuing this journey about eliminating silos of chaos.
That's tremendous. Eliminating silos of chaos. I love that. And, as well, where you said there must be a better way, that's tremendous. I can really see, the thinking there that's led to solving problems and bring order. That's awesome. So I guess I'm intrigued though, what brings you to Australia today? Why, what's happening, can I ask?
Well, so generally I'm in this neck of the woods twice a year, right? And that's pre-pandemic, right? I pride myself as being one of the CEOs that I try to get on the road, get out in front of not only our partners, but our colleagues, right? So we call our employees colleagues, we call our customers partners. So generally I get in this region 2 times a year, and that was pre-pandemic. Since the region just started open back up, I think 2 months ago, give or take.
Yep.
This was the first available time, and it just so coincidentally coincides with one of our events, right? So one of our first events back in the region, IT Nation Evolve and IT Nation Share. So we're doing a combined event this week, and was able to get in front of about 180 of our partners that were in attendance throughout the week, and then obviously all of our colleagues out of Australia. So that's what brings me here.
Oh, fantastic. That's exciting. And no, we're delighted that travel is open back up, and yeah, that we can get around again. So that's
Absolutely.
yeah. So I guess, can you expand on then what's happening in the local market? So what are your integrators and resellers, and what are your partners doing in this area as a whole?
Yeah, so I mean, look, obviously in this region, a little bit more difficult over time, right? Because you guys, sustained a longer lockdown than most areas, and really creating a bubble of sorts, right? With that said, happy to say our data through service leadership, so SLI, is showing that the Australia New Zealand partners are rebounding quite nicely as things continue to open up more and more. But not just rebounding, actually showing growth at this point in time. And that was, pretty resounding here this week as I've chatted with partners, that they're all pretty optimistic about, the future, as long as there's no more, setbacks or rewind back into, closing things down and so on. Right. But those are things that we can't predict. And, those are things that, you can't worry about until, it starts to come to fruition. But, from the data, from the conversations that we've had this week, it's looking pretty good for our partners, our channel partners, MSPs, TSPs in the region. And as far as integrators, right, so we had a few in attendance here this week. Tribute, which is a startup company, really driving further automation for MSPs. YSync was in town. They're based out of Melbourne, as well as Immersion and a few others. And, they're all starting to show pretty good signs of, business scale and growth. So pretty optimistic about what the region has going on. And it's why we continue to show up and continue to grow and build out our office and our presence here in Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah, fantastic. No, that's exciting to hear that. That they're rebounding, they're growing. That's wonderful, and the work they're doing, and not only for themselves but also for their customers, their partners as well. Yeah. What are you allowed to share anything about what the company plans are for the next 12 months, and products and developments? I guess what's on the roadmap for ConnectWise?
Yeah, so for me to do that, let me just touch upon real quick, right? If you look at where ConnectWise plays, right, we're in the epicenter of a lot of really cool things and trends happening in the space, right? So if you think digital transformation, right, that's ConnectWise, right? Everything within our business management platform is all about digital transformation. If you think about automation and driving increased productivity and efficiencies. If you think about being able to do service delivery from anywhere, right? We're in a remote world now, right? So remote working, remote support and whatnot. We're smack dab in the middle of that with our unified management monitoring platform. And then you think everything going on in the cyber world, right? InfoSec and cybersecurity and so on. And that's another core area of our business, right? So digital transformation, remote and automation, and then all things cyber, and that's ConnectWise, right? We're smack dab in the middle of that. So in terms of what we're doing at our last big event in the States, IT Nation Connect in November of 2021, we announced the launch of our new platform that we've been working on for the last few years. The ASIO platform, we announced the ConnectWise RMM platform, we announced components of our business management on a new platform and whatnot. And it's going to be really, more of that, right? Bringing it together, driving additional productivities and efficiencies and automations, working with our partners and customers on how to make them more successful. and grow their business and realize what their dreams and success are.
Yeah.
So more of that is what I would say. That's what we have in store. So we're going to execute. We're going to listen to our partners and feedback. We're going to keep incorporating new exciting things within the platform.
Excellent. That sounds like a great roadmap. And, you know, you mentioned that here in Australia about the lockdown and how, you know, is extended, and your partners here are rebounding, and also more importantly, yeah, well, as equally as importantly, they're growing. I guess in general and worldwide, I guess you're expecting business conditions to settle elsewhere as well. Now the pandemic's reducing in influence, and I guess does that have any bearing as well, do you think, on you know, customers and remote working?
But barring any other, you know, macroeconomic issues that may arise globally, which, you know, obviously, you know, people keeping track, right? There's some things going on, and you know, the political, you know, world climate today, right? You know, all that aside, yeah, we're pretty bullish on, you know, the TSP, MSP, small business world. We're seeing growth, significant growth ourselves, and reaccelerating. And that only happens when our global partner network is growing themselves, right? So all boats will rise with that, you know, at the same time. So as they grow, then they need more from us, and they work with us more, and then we grow, right? So between all of that, between what our data is showing us from a global standpoint, things are looking pretty good and rebounding pretty nicely.
That's fantastic. That's wonderful. One thing I always appreciate with when we have, you know, experts of your caliber, they will talk to us, is that global perspective that you offer. But, you know, I have to ask, even though it's wonderful to hear about the world, I've got to ask, in Australia, how mature is the Australian channel compared to other regions? Are we a bit more special, or, you know, how are we going here in Australia?
Yeah, look, I you know, I would say that Australia is coming along nicely. You've got, you know, different maturity levels of, you know, channel partners, you know, some that are more advanced than others, some that are more early adopters and keep track of what's going on in other parts of the world globally. And they bring that here a lot sooner, and so on. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it lagging. I would just say that, you know, there is varying stages of channel partners in their life cycle of adoption of global technologies and seeing what's going on in other areas. The good news is it's all opportunity, right? You know, as things become more reality over here, things open up more. It's all just tremendous opportunity for the Australia channel.
That's fantastic. No, that's wonderful. No, I've really enjoyed talking to you, Jason. That's been fantastic insight you've given, and definitely amazing history of the company. So no, we appreciate your time very much.
Oh, well, I appreciate your time, David. Thank you. And great to meet you.
Yes, you too. Thank you so much.